I'll play as Pimp 1000. Oh, good. So we're at Spellbound Forest now. Yeah, thanks, Murphy. You're a real treasure. So, I was thinking as well earlier about RoboCop. I was recalling this show came out on like the BBC when I was about. I must have been younger than 10. I'm guessing it was around 2003, maybe 2004. Could have been as early as 2002, to be honest. I don't know. But basically, that show was called 2020, and its deal was that it showed you what it thought was going to be the case in 2020. Show you like what crises we'd reach and what culture will be like and stuff like that. So I really want to watch that on the basis that, you know, it's 2020 now and I want to see how accurate it was. Probably it won't be very... I remember two plots. The first was that obesity was going to get ridiculously high. And so that practically everyone was, like, so fat that... Well, you know, they weren't happy because they were so fat. And that hasn't really happened. I don't know what has happened to obesity rates, but from what I can tell, it's not really the crisis that it was once considered to be. Either that or we've just gotten used to it, I don't know. But I don't really see it as often reported as a problem. Occasionally people are like, oh, your kids are getting fat. Oh no. Make your kids run after the car instead of driving them to school, mums. Stop killing your kids with kindness. But yeah, that's not as big of a thing. The other one as well was apparently the power was going to go out. That we'd run out of... I can't remember what the reason was now. I'm going to guess it's fossil fuels, but don't hold me to that. And all the power went off, and everyone was like, oh no, we've got no power. Apparently, though, this was all just assuming we'd do absolutely nothing in 20 years about these crises. That maybe it would have turned out that way if we did nothing at all. Maybe it was just a very pessimistic projection. I mean, they didn't predict that fucking Boris Johnson was going to be Prime Minister, did they? So, honestly, I think the best prediction of 2020 I've personally ever seen is that Black Mirror episode. Is it a bear? There's some sort of mascot character who runs for the office of Prime Minister. And he's like a joke candidate because he's like a silly cartoon character who does like jerk-off signs during debates and stuff, and everyone thinks it's really funny. And then it's kind of scary because he becomes like this faceless mascot for corporate interests. And these rather sinister people use this silly, wacky joke political candidate as a front to basically start up a dictatorship. And people are all on board with it because all they care about is how silly the character is, not like what he's saying or doing. And he's able to discredit people just by basically calling them a daft twat and whatever else. And even the guy, and the protagonist in the show is the guy who voices the character, like in World. And he starts off it's like part of the joke for him. He's like, oh, okay, I'm this joke political candidate who's here to take the legitimate candidates down, like the David Camerons and that of the world. But then, eventually, he realises what's going on. And by the time he does, he can say or do anything and people start buying into it, and it terrifies him as an idea, because he's like, well, you know, I can basically get this character to tell people to do things against their own best interest. And even when the curtain falls and you see the wizard, the people don't care because they're too fixated on this silly cartoon political candidate. And it's very accurate to you Trumps and you Johnsons and whatever else, who are just basically cartoon characters who people don't take seriously even when they go too far. You know, they've destroyed lives through their incompetence. That's not a secret, whether you like them or not. That is no secret, that there are people in this world who have lost everything because of these people. Like that woman in Iran, was it? Who hasn't seen her family in years because she's in an Iranian prison for spying because Boris Johnson said some bullshit during a press conference and the Iranian government saw it. But, you know, it's that kind of thing. Nobody cares because Boris is such a bumbling oaf that everyone finds it hilarious. And it legitimately makes me wonder, like, what these people can do at this point before anyone actually takes them seriously enough to say what they're doing is unacceptable. And even that doesn't matter anymore. You know, people have been saying it for years. The critics have been there for years, but they just get ignored. Because if you do something stupid every day, yesterday's travesty is tomorrow's, oh, remember how good it was when he only did that, now he does this. And it's a mess.
Welche neugierige Babbrüchen.